Hi everyone. Today I'm going to connect you with your shadow, and your shadow is going to communicate with you. So if you're interested in shadow work and the like, please enjoy. And if you like this deck and would like to have a chance to win it, and perhaps you've been thinking about joining my website and subscribing for a reading, this might be the best time to do both, because at the $22 level, if you subscribe for a past, present, future reading, you're automatically entered in the secret lottery to win this tarot deck as well. I have another one, so it's going to be unopened in the original packaging. I have no idea what the name of this deck is, by the way, but it's real pretty. It's this sort of iridescent, rainbowy Rider-Waite deck. So far we have 2 contestants, so if you subscribe now, you have a pretty good chance of winning, I would say. So for the 2 contestants, it's a 50-50, but even if a couple of you still join, the chances are pretty good, and you get a reading anyway. So I hope you're gonna take advantage of this. This is a special offer that is only available until the 31st of the month. So anyway, let's jump into the reading. I'm going to pull 3 cards. Number 1. Number 2. And number 3. Are going to represent how your shadow is showing up. So, to explain a little bit, the shadow is a concept from Carl Jung and Jungian philosophy or psychology, whatever you want to call it. The shadow is a part of ourselves that we reject from our conscious understanding, that we do not want to accept and integrate. And yet, shadow work is exactly about that. It's about finding ways to utilize the shadow and take control of it instead of allowing it to take control over us. So I'm going to show you these cards, and I would like you to pick the one that you think corresponds to your shadow the most. So the shadow, like I said, is a part of yourself, a blind spot, if you will, but I'm sure you've come into contact with your shadow every now and then. It's a part of your personality that you're having a hard time accepting. Those tendencies that just seem alien to you, and yet at the same time they sometimes become so strong as to take charge of your life. So let me show you the cards. I've randomly chosen these, so there's no intentional meaning behind them, but we are going to use them to to establish the connection with your shadow. The first one is the Four of Wands. If there's something about this that speaks to you about your shadow, then this is your card. The next one is the Emperor. If you feel like this card has somewhat of a connection with your shadow, then this is your card. And the Queen of Pentacles is the third one. If you feel like this card is establishing a connection between you and your shadow, then go for it. This card is going to deliver the message to you. Okay. So, we're going to focus on card number 1 now. I'm shuffling the cards. And we're pulling 2 cards to receive a message. Okay. And let's do the same with the Emperor. 2 cards to let us know about the message. Okay, and the Queen of Pentacles. Let's get started with the Four of Wands. The King of Cups and Death. So let me first speak about the Four of Wands a little bit. The Four of Wands represents, in terms of a shadow, a desire to be accepted, an almost unstable or destabilizing need to be celebrated or liked, or for the world to be on good terms with us. So this could be represented in many, many different ways, in people pleasing, or just novelty seeking, a constant quest for excitement and adrenaline. It could be a constant longing for a bigger social circle and a feeling of never really fitting in. Your shadow seems to be aligned with these concepts of not really fitting in, but basing your entire self-worth and your confidence and your lust for life on the feedback that you receive from the world. So let's see what the message is. The the way to integrate such a shadow personality into your entire personality is by putting the focus on the King of Cups, on the desire and the priority of wanting to learn about emotions, of absorbing knowledge and information in this area, of learning about how psychology works for you and how it works in general. Perhaps getting therapy or getting in touch with experts or professionals that have a vast and complex understanding of human emotion. The King of Cups, since he's the King of Water, the King representing the highest possible rank of understanding of the element, rules emotions, rules the sensitivity of the soul by gathering information and making the necessary connections between the different points of data. The King of Cups is organized and level-headed and fair, wanting to be accepted and wanting to be perhaps in the public eye. This could also, indicate a desire to be well known, to be a celebrity perhaps, or someone who's famous and acknowledged. In and of itself, there's nothing wrong with it. And the King of Cups is only asking you to put in the effort to learn about the underlying emotionality that accompanies this desire and this tendency within you. And ultimately, the Death card is here to remind you that finding this loving, embracing stability that the Four of Wands is after, finding this this sense of never-ending positive emotion, it's never going to happen. Death is here to remind you that everything eventually comes to an end. People who become famous and are well recognized, people who are celebrated, will ultimately fall and be forgotten and be buried under centuries and centuries of new people who are more interesting. And people who are powerless will eventually come to power, only to lose it again. The lesson that the Death card is trying to teach you right now is that belonging to a club and basing your sense of self on belonging somewhere, to a community, to a group of people, it's never really going to work out because there's no constance in such endeavors. It's never going to fulfill you completely, and it's going to disintegrate eventually. So the best way to integrate, I guess, the desire to belong and the desire to be in this euphoria that the Four of Wands is pointing to, is to accept it and to really investigate the emotional side of it, and to really go deep with it. Without such an effort, the shadow might take over and you might become addicted to social media, or you might be vulnerable to cults or other predatory entities. And that might mean that your shadow grows stronger than you are. So it's important to watch out for that. The Emperor. Let's see what the message is. Okay. We have the Nine of Cups and the Two of Wands. So first off, if you pick the Emperor, your shadow is actually represented by the rigidity, the stubbornness of the Emperor. Your shadow seems to be stuck and obsessed with authority or precision or structure. There's a very strong obsessive quality to the Emperor, and also a thirst, a hunger for power and dominion. So when your shadow is the Emperor, it's very important to watch out for signs of aggression, even passive aggression. You know, sometimes we think that just because we are not physically violent, we are not aggressive, but that's not always true. Aggression comes in many forms, and control comes in many forms. So there's something controlling about your shadow that we are going to address here today. So let's see. The message here is the Nine of Cups and the Two of Wands. The Nine of Cups is a card of pleasure for pleasure's sake. And you might notice that both of these cards, the Two of Wands and the Nine of Cups, they are both alone. So, in order to remove the emphasis from domineering other people or being hurt by other people and dreaming of retribution, or feeling the need to objectify people, because those are some of the things that the Emperor can point to. A good way to I guess, refocus your attention is to prioritize yourself. Not your power, not your image, not your ego, but how you feel. So that's what the Nine of Cups, most importantly, is signaling here. That there's a happiness deficit. The reason why the shadow is the way it is, and the reason why it behaves the way it is perhaps in moments of anger or in moments of desperation, where you're really trying to hold on to what you have and you're losing sight of what's really important and what really makes you happy. So the key here is to relentlessly, but in a sort of effortless fashion, go for those things that make you feel good immediately. And I don't mean this in a destructive way. This could be a side effect of the emperor, actually, because the emperor denies himself or herself the pleasures of the world. And in a moment of weakness, he can fall into really nasty, addictive behaviors then. So it's not about that. It's about learning what really makes you feel better in the moment. Getting to know you from an emotional standpoint, because the emperor has very little regard for what even he is feeling, not only other people, but himself. So there's a disconnect, a detachment from the emotional, the vulnerable self. So the Nine of Cups is asking you to rediscover what makes you happy. And instead of controlling the situation, try to mold the moment into an opportunity to have fun, to have a pleasurable experience. Ask yourself, what is it? What is the thing that I can do right now? Whether it's laying down on the bed, just taking a few hours of time to myself, just being lazy, watching my favorite TV series, or going for a run. So it doesn't have to be laziness, It depends. But what's the thing that puts me in a good mood? And the Two of Wands is asking you to keep your focus on the big picture instead of using these tendencies, these rigid tendencies to control the moment. Think about how you can assert even more control in the future. So let's say you get carried away in an intense emotional moment, and you try to prevent somebody from doing something that is hurtful or that is making you feel uncomfortable, and you decide to yell at them. That would be a classic emperor move. And I think we've all done it before. We've all been there. So there's no shame in it. So instead of doing that automatic thing out of desperation, out of hopelessness, that is going to control the moment, you can try to shift your attention to what will control your life. What is the thing, the action that you can take that is ultimately going to give more power to you? And that's self-discipline, that's self-control that you can learn to basically integrate this energy into your life with a little bit of self-indulgence and a little bit of foresight and conscious action. All right, the Queen of Pentacles is our next shadow figure. Let's see what she has to say. We have the Page of Swords and the Chariot. Okay. Now, I first would like to say a couple things about what the Queen of Pentacles might represent as a shadow. The Queen of Pentacles is all about giving, all about being the provider, taking care of others, being important, being needed. And vice versa, there's a little bit of neediness in the Queen of Pentacles because she needs others to make herself feel important. She needs to feel useful. She needs to provide a service. She needs to be a savior, a mother figure, in order to feel like she's worth something. So it's a very sad position to be in when your shadow is stuck in such a position, because it means that you are denying yourself the opportunity to really grow, because your focus is not on yourself, it's on other people. And so the Queen of Pentacles as a shadow would perhaps be best described as a codependent personality, someone who wants to satisfy other people's needs and neglects their own. Let's see what the messages are. We have the Chariot and the Page of Swords. Well, the Page of Swords is here to let you know and to remind you that you don't need to have a license to allow yourself to be wrong. That being wrong is your birthright. That you don't have to know everything. In fact, it's more important to want to learn than to know. The Page of Swords is also shifting the focus from the material to the theoretical to intellectual. So sometimes it's more important to be with others if you really want to be there for them. It's important to be with them mentally, with their following and responding to their thoughts, asking questions, challenging them perhaps, debating with them or agreeing with them. It's more important to be able to give that support even if you're not a pro like you are with the Pentacles stuff. The Queen of Pentacles, being a queen, is obviously of higher authority than the Page. So she knows really well what she's doing when she's providing for other people. She is masterful at it. And the Page is just a beginner. So back to my original train of thought. The Page of Swords likes to ask questions. Page of Swords likes to interject and come up with new ideas and test those ideas, to be experimental with them. And sometimes it's more important to nurture other people's brains than to just give them what they want. The thing with the Queen of Pentacles is that she is very sensitive to what other people are in need of. what their needs are. And a Queen of Pentacles personality would sometimes even forego a request from another person and provide what they need without them having to ask. And so that's a practice that is actually hindering another person's path sometimes, because people need to learn to ask for what they want. And with the Page of Swords being here as an advice or message, is indicating to me that another type of service, if you really want to hold on to this part of your personality and integrate it, a better way to be of service to people is to actually disagree with them sometimes, or just allow them to share their opinion with you, their view of the world. The Queen of Pentacles is not receptive. She's giving, giving, giving. Everything is going out. The Page of Swords is all receptive to the ideas. He or she is absorbing the information that is coming from the outside and has her own ideas about it. Perhaps wrong, perhaps misguided, but definitely original. And you have an originality to your soul and to your thinking that you've been suppressing, that the Page of Swords is asking you to recalibrate again. And the Chariot, which is a powerful antidote to the Queen of Pentacles, is talking to you actually about the power of the individual and the power of your will, and the uncomfortable but necessary truth that you will not be able to do good in every situation. Sometimes, as a matter of fact, you're going to do someone wrong. Some person is going to leave the situation and the interaction feeling defeated. This is inevitable. It's a law of life. And the Chariot is asking you to embrace that. Embrace that you are not just a force of benevolence in this world. You also have the malevolence within you that you're trying to overcompensate with the Queen of Pentacles persona. It's black and white, but at the same time, it's neither black nor white. You're neither good nor bad. You have a reason, and you have a right to be imperfect. And the Chariot is also a powerful reminder to focus on your own goals instead of trying to appease and support others. There can be some of that, but if it grows too strong, it's going to take over your life and you're going to have no life left. So guys, I hope that you enjoy these readings. Let me know in the comments if you've learned something new, or if you have any new video ideas. I'm always happy to hear your suggestions. So let me know. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.